All right, folks. Welcome to another basic day here at the executive mansion. So right after the certifications of the newly appointed finance minister, Honorable Costin Fine. This is the first cabinet meeting he's going to be sitting for, and the president today will be hosting another cabinet meeting after a long trip from Indonesia and China. As we all are aware, the president came into the country, right after he was able to address the country at his church, and then right after that, today he is hosting another cabinet meeting here at the executive mansion. He will be addressing his cabinet members on key issues as it relates to the trip and how they're going to work to implement all what was planned and discussed while he was away. So today is another visit day here at the executive mansion where all cabinet members, ministers will be here to grace this sixth cabinet meeting here at the executive mansion. So soon we'll be receiving His Excellency Joseph Boakai. So as you can see, ministers are trooping in to have their seat before the arrival of His Excellency Joseph Boakai. So we are here to break you all what will be happening here. So right after the introduction part of the cabinet meeting so that they can have some privacy while carrying on their discussion at the cabinet meeting. Once again, I'm Jurassic Israel Prince Joy. I'm here with Sylvester Joplin, and we are here to bring you happiness from the executive mansion. So let's get in the get in the meeting hall, and that's the newly certificated finance minister. Today is his first cabinet meeting since since the government took office, and he was so so. Uh, this is it. Here we are. So here we are. As you can see, our Minister of State and our Assistant Minister, Economic Advisors. We have our Honorable Boakai here too as well. Youth and Sport Representative. We have our advisors from the President advisors are all here. We have our Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs because the Dean of the Cabinet, she's away and she won't be part of this meeting. So the existing minister is here to represent for all, you know. So these are all high profile government officials. These are all members of the cabinet. They are here to address this important meeting that has been called by His Excellency Joseph Boakai right after his trip from two countries, as Indonesia and China. That's the Minister of Health there. So next, the Vice President is making his way in, and as soon as the Vice President enter, coming next will be His Excellency Joseph Boakai. He will be coming in next, but after we receive the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia. So as soon as the Vice President enters, next will be His Excellency, and as soon as the President enters, no one is allowed to enter the court, and the meeting begin right away. So we are here at the Executive Mansion, and I'm here with Sylvester Chiloplet, and we are here to bring you every major event that will be happening here at the Executive Mansion. So, right, Sylvester, we just left from the commissioning ceremony.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. So the president did just commission the finance minister, Minister Augustin B. Gaffon, just a few minutes ago, where he urged the finance minister to be result oriented. And now the president is now convening the sixth cabinet meeting here at the Tea House in at the executive mansion. So here we have schools or government officials running down from the vice presidency. Here we have the vice president of the Republic of Liberia, Honorable Jeremiah Coon. You have the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Minister Sylvester Grisby, and Minister of State with our portfolio, Mamakability, Minister of Commerce, Ami Modai, CSA Bar, uh, Mr. Josiah Jokai, and other schools of government officials are already seated and ready to convene this sixth cabinet meeting. So it is believed that the president will generally brief his government officials, dominate the cabinet member as it relates to his trips in Indonesia and China, where he secured fundings, aids for Liberia. So the president will basically be telling his cabinet officials how to go about making more progress, especially making impactful progress in Liberia. So we all await His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Liberia. And as we await him, we quickly run down the President's progress from the two countries in Asia. So following his arrival in Liberia at the Effort Baptist Church, the President did make announcement of several fundings received or secured by the Liberian government. In Asia, he announced the 200 million grain of from the Chinese government, the 30 million food assistance project, the 6.6 million debt waiver from the Chinese government announced by Chinese President Xi Jinping, the construction of the bridge connecting 12th Street and Somalia Drive, and uh, the implementation for the Liberia National Grid modernization and the construction of 35 megawatts solar power plant in Bombay County. So he also talked about the 50 billion financial agreement given by the Chinese government to Africa. Liberia is not exception of that. So there are lots of financial agreements that the president secured from Indonesia and China. So now he's back. Uh, he's going to talk to his cabinet as to how they could run the government efficiently and effectively in making sure that the anticipation of the Liberian people can be seen and felt. So we still await His Excellency the President of the Republic of Liberia. So there is the Vice President. On his left hand, you have the newly commissioned Finance and Development Planning Minister, Minister Augustine B. Kafon, who the President just strongly urged to be result-oriented. He also promised the President to be a buttresser, a team player in his government. So the Finance Minister is part of the cabinet meeting. You have the Minister of Commerce who also traveled with the President recently in Asia. And you also hear the CSA boss is posted. So I think this meeting is actually necessary, especially with the chips of the president, because over the time Liberians have been hearing big names of financial commitment from international donors, other developed countries to Liberia. However, to visibly see the impact in terms of tangibles is the major concerns of Liberians. Yes, the president and his delegate will go out there and secure huge funding, and Liberians will hear the names of all of the big names of financial commitments. But at the end of the day, can the tangibles be seen? Those financial agreements that are usually made over the years, are they commiserating with the impact that Liberian people expect? So the president, His Excellency President Joseph Boakai be noted to be an integrated president, integrated president who usually talks about accountability and so forth. the Liberian people are now standing tall to see what his administration will do, whether it will make a difference from previous administrations. So we await the president to hear what he's going to say to his cabinet officials, government officials after his trip, or what exactly he's going to talk about at this sixth cabinet meeting. So the Vice President, Honorable Jeremiah Kuhn, has been seated already, well positioned to contribute to this cabinet meeting. So Spoon TV, Sylvester Churople, alongside with my colleague Joasi Joe, coming to you live from the Tea House here at the Executive Mansion. So two quick important announcement that the president did make and could make very meaningful impact. It's about the construction of a bridge connecting 12th Street to the Somalia Drive area. If that process if that project begins and maybe in 2 or 3, 4 years ends, it will be a very, very big impact for Liberian people because it will smooth the transportation fares. It will contribute to the economy because we all know road connectivity is one of the major problems that Liberia is faced with. So the president recently in his sixth announcement from his trip mentioning about the construction of a bridge between 12th Street to the Somalia Drive area. It is a very, very huge announcement that the Liberian people look up to the government to implement. You also talk about the 30 million, that is somewhere around 1.8 million United States dollars food assistance project in terms of agriculture. The Chinese government has pledged to work with the Liberian government to make sure that the issue of agriculture can be vibrant. So that's another good news. And this good news will only be good for the Liberian people if all of these promises or projects start effectively in the impact or tangibles are seen. So another one is the project about the 3 billion project in Bikana, Grand Bassa County, the oil refinery project. Yes, that one is very good as well because it will give the opportunity to Liberians and to work. Right, Liberians will have the opportunity to be employed, and we hope that all of these projects should be given, if not 100% right, but 70 to 85% should be given to Liberians to take up all of these initiatives. Because mind you, we have young engineers, educated Liberians who have gone outside of the country and returned, and they have good knowledge about all of these projects. So if the Liberian government can prioritize Liberians to take over all of these projects, and not 100% though, but like 60-70%, it will be good because it will stand as the motivation for other Liberians and to do more. So Librarians also look at the president and his government to see as to how they are going to implement all of these projects. So, folks, we are still here awaiting the president. Today is a basic day, very basic day for the president. He started this for the ministerial complex, where he was honored an honorary fellowship by the Liberia College of Physicians and Surgeons, where he make a statement, talk about the educational system, pledge his support specifically to scientists, and told those graduates of the Liberia College of Physicians and Surgeons that his government will do everything possible to support them. So right after that, the president proceeded here at the executive mansion for the commissioning of Finance Minister Augustin Gaffon. And now here we are, at the tea house of the executive mansion for the 6th cabinet meeting. So I'm sure the president is still doing preparation up there before arriving here. So while we await the president, we remain posted here, and raising some concerns as to how the president plans to address concerns regarding the effectiveness of infrastructure projects funded by international aid, given that previous large-scale projects have sometimes faced delays or mismanagement. So all of these things will be talked about. So my colleague Josie Joe has already been following the president on his trip to Indonesia, China. Been hearing all of the good news that the president and his delegate secured from China and Indonesia. So Josie, what do you think the president will talk about in the 6th cabinet meeting?
So, the assumption, thank you, Sylvester, for that question. And the assumption, what I think the president will be talking about today is how they can be able to, make follow-up on all of those achievements that he have acquired during his trip. How they will be able to make follow-up and implement the project. I think that's the sole purpose of today's cabinet meeting, because the president made that remark when he came at the church when he was addressing when he was having the Thanksgiving service at the church,
updating the nation about his trip.
Of that he will set up a team that will make follow up on all of those promises that were made during his trip, both Indonesia and that of China. So today's meeting purposely going to be plans on how these funds will be managed and how all of these projects will be implemented.
Right. So I do also believe that the president will focus on the issue of a follow-up from the funds secured or promised by international partners, specifically from China and Indonesia. And Joasi it's not just about doing follow-up, but if those financial agreements are received, the implementation aspect is matter because over the year Liberians have been hearing about big names about financial aid to the country. However, the tangibles are always not in line with the big names of finance. What do you make of that as well?
So we'll do more research.
Yes.
So in relating to your question, during his trip in China, I think the president of China was able to give additional funds or additional fund for.
Yeah,
So
so
like
yeah,
like I was saying,
so folks, we will restrict our camera because while awaiting the press, they have started having lunch. So yes, Joasi.
so I think we'll pause here and then when the president comes in, then we
Yes, we
can
can
go
get
live
out
into
there.
that. So let's
Yes.
just. President is during his trip to China, what did the country expect from all of those forms that was happening? So again, in relating to your questions, understand?
Yeah, sure.
As to and what was it
The
again?
implementation
The
aspect, because
implementation
I was
aspect.
saying Liberians over the years they have heard about big names of financial aid from international donors, international partners, developed countries to Liberia. However, most of those funds of aids, the tangibles are not usually in line with the huge amount that the country receives. So, though we know that the president, His Excellency President Joseph Boakai, he usually talks about integrity, accountability. So, at this sixth cabinet meeting, I think they will also talk about the aspect implementation,
I
so
think
if
that's the
that
sole purpose of this.
tangibles can be seen
Yes,
by Liberians.
sure. I think that's the sole purpose of this meeting call for today by the president because we understand the fact that going out and allocating funds and these funds being allocated, projects being allocated, but they are not being implementation. They are being in a wave, right? People will just talk about it and then the government will just made the pronouncement and then at the end result no implementation. And I think that's the sole purpose of which the president called this immediate cabinet meeting so that he can set up a team and be straightforward because you understand we've been following the president throughout his message and been stressing keenly on the implementation of these policies, not just having these policies on decks, but the implementation aspect so that citizens can benefit from all what have been putting down or putting into pen and paper. So I think the sole purpose of this cabinet meeting is to set up a team strongly and be able to give a mandate to his cabinet members that the implementation process should be fast speed so that because during the president address at the church during his Thanksgiving service, he stressed that all what had been allocated for is true. He will set up a team that will be able to make follow-up on all of those funds that were allocated for, and implementation process too was key during his remark. So I'm sure that the implementation process of all of these funds that were allocated in terms of the 30 millions, the overhead bridges and stuff like that. And I think the implementation process will be key, and that's the reason for which this cabinet meeting was called for, so that government officials or cabinet members.
Yeah, so Joasi, you're right when it comes to the implementation, but it seems like this cabinet meeting will take a bit much time, because we are not seeing any sound of the president arriving here in the soonest possible time. But while we await the president, perhaps we could be talking about, one by one, the president's would-be projects. I'm saying would-be project because yes, the president has started calling on his cabinet to know exactly, set up the blueprint as to how all of those projects can be implemented. So I want us to start with the 128.2 million pledged by the Chinese government, of which 28 million is a grant, and the 100 is the concessional loans for Liberia's infrastructure, energy, agriculture sector, making a significant financial aid or boost to Liberia. So we know the 28 million though is not like a huge amount, but it could make a little impact, positive impact.
It will make a positive impact.
Only if
in terms of job opportunities, and it's gonna affect not 100% of the citizens, but gonna affect at least a huge portion of the citizenry within the country, because that money will be invested into industrial activities, so that people can be able to have access to jobs, so that they can sustain themselves and their family as well. And the president also will push forward the need for the establishment of a manufacturing company that will be able to produce rubber materials, so that this factory, because he make it clear during his meeting with
so you talking about when he had a meeting with Indonesian president, where he called on the president and officials there to extend Golden Verolon Liberia expansion, right?
Yeah.
Advocating that like that company, more company needs to be established in Liberia, so the issue of job opportunities can be settled, or can just like that. So yes, I think that's another a good thing. The president actually stressed in Indonesia, calling on the president and NGOs there that yes, indeed, we have one of your organizations in Liberia, the GVL, but yet there are more to do. More companies need to come in Liberia, so the issue of job opportunities can be a bit resolved. So yes, Joasi, I think you was actually on part. Yes.
Yeah. So and that was key. And also make mention of Firestone being the largest or one of the largest rubber companies in Liberia and that of the world in terms of rubber productions, but there have not been a manufacturing company that have been established, so that they can produce all of those Osumon rubber material. All of our raw materials have been exported, or is a need that companies be established, and he make that clear. He also met with Golden Verolon or board of directors on that side, that there was a need that Golden Verolon will expand its operational activities, so that more people can get employed, more Liberians can get jobs, and that's a huge mark there. For my part, I can speak for her, but for my part, that's a huge mark there that the president was able to push this agenda and to make sure that more funds were allocated, and precisely on the overhead bridge. Look at the traffic, the congestion of traffic and things. So if that bridge is constructed, will understand that there will be reduction in traffic and people will be able to get access to their various offices or working areas in an easier and smooth way. So you understand that there won't be a lot of accident and a lot of time consumption in terms of going to your office to carry on your daily routine. There will be fast productivities
Right.
because
So another issue that the Chinese government also pledged to Liberian government is the debt relief of US 6.5 million. China's cancellation of that debt interest, I think it will ease Liberia's financial burden and free up resources for development projects because 6.5 million, cancellation of debt. I think
I mean, we don't get money already.
so yeah, seriously.
That was a huge goal score there by the Chinese president, but for the fact that they will be able to take up that debt for also, we're not already to go big.
Seriously.
We went to go big already. So for the fact that they will be able to, listen to our cry and reduce or cut up our debt, that's a huge mark there by the Chinese president. You understand that the Chinese have a lot of investment in the country.
Right,
There's a
right.
lot of investment in the country. The majority of our government buildings they were constructed by the Chinese.
Right.
You see, majority of our government buildings were constructed by the Chinese, and they are also working on some of our roads in the country. So China have actually play or developmental road to Liberia.
Right.
If we check back, China has played a developmental role to Liberia in terms of constructing our buildings, our government buildings, in terms of helping in the construction of roads, and also having different factories in the country as well. So China's support and have been making a significant impact to this country. So we are not surprised if China is giving him more, than we expected.
So
That's a
another
huge
issue,
thing there.
another pledge from the Chinese government is the Chinese commitment in funding a healthcare facility across Liberia, to advance medical testing capabilities and healthcare delivering across Liberia. Healthcare is one of the very, very critical issues. Nowadays you see Liberians, even government officials, once they get sick, they will uh, go outside of Liberia. So the Chinese government also talked about that, to supporting Liberian government in terms of healthcare. So
And that's one of the things we need to stress on in terms of the health facility and health implementation process within the country have been real low to the extent that majority of our counties don't have or modern health facilities.
right.
You understand? So people struggle to get to rural clinics, in terms of these clinics lacking those major medicine to be able to treat patients and things, and most people have died because of that. So that's another huge one too. Society are low income earners. They don't have that money to be able to fly themselves out of this country to get better health care. So we relied and depend on our local health centers in the country. So if our local health centers are upgraded to that level, you understand that our people will receive an affordable health care and they will be able to live
So
longer.
lastly, I know maybe they have adjusted, the time, but let's talk about the issue about agriculture in Indonesia. The president did mention that the Indonesian government will work with the Liberian government to produce oil in terms of, rice production, or cultivation, and what have you. And the issue of this rice production, Joasi, it seems like everybody wants to come in the city, to have, office job, or maybe just manage it one way or the other in the city. And you don't have, many people wanting to go in the rural area to involve themselves into agriculture. And the president, anytime you hear the president, speaking, you talk about the issue of agriculture, rice production. oil cultivation. So, how do you think the president's vision of rice production can be significantly seen? What do you think?
So,
What step do you think the president can take to making sure all the appeal whenever he goes out of the country, you will ask for favor for rice production, oil plantation, and so on.
so I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, Sylvester. We understand that the president once served as agriculture minister then
Right.
before assuming the office of vice president, and then at this point. So an interest in agriculture is key, and that's the reason he highlighted in his arrest agenda in terms of agriculture, and that's been one of the key pillar of his
Yes,
government.
one of the
So
people.
if he go out and every time he will make mentions of agriculture, companies that invest in the agricultural sector, so we are not surprised. And you understand that in our society we consume our consumption is mainly on rest. We consume more rest than we produce.
Because
So
more rice, but
we don't
no, I
produce
mean,
we don't
many
produce
people are now willing to go back to the soil.
good. We don't produce the rice, but we consume more rice. But trust me, Sylvester, once the agricultural sector is advanced, we have those necessary equipment, modern equipment, where people will not be able to put in more hard labor into
John,
it.
let
So you
me
understand?
pause you there. You talk
Mhm,
about modern equipment.
mhm.
Are we very forced to have modern equipment before starting effectively, rice production? I mean, self-sufficient, the food self-sufficiency is very much important.
Sylvester,
So now you have,
now listen, let me.
if I come in,
Mhm.
if we were to ask the cabinet officials, how many percent of them involving themselves into agriculture? You have, a very minute portion of them. All right. So everyone, no equipment, but people who in the interior, let's say people who in Maryland, River G County, Jaka can they play a kingdom, right? Yeah, they put, they culture rice, they eat culture rice, all right? They sustain themselves, by the rice production that they make. So if we, what I'm trying to say is that if we just sit and say that we will have to have all the equipment, more the equipment that you put in before we start moving into the agricultural sector, then I think we will still remain like this.
So first, I once made a research on that. There are several people that are into rice production in the country, but you understand that there will be low productivities of rice in the country when you start having those equipments that are not sophisticated in order to bring up mass production of rice. People are producing rice, that people are involved with production of rice. You can see Liberian rice in the market, but yeah, it is not mold in order to take over every to take over the percentage of the population within the country to be able to consume that portion. So if we have those modern equipments, and then once the modern equipments are here, and then more funds put into those local agricultural sector that will be able to mass produce rice, you understand that it will ease the burden. Because once you have those modern equipment, more money punch in those local agricultural sector, go in rural sector, invest in those local
So,
farmers so that they
Johnson,
be able to produce
for the
more
question I
rice.
was asking,
You
for
see?
example, right? Right. Most of our leaders, including one of most of our leaders, including the current president, they usually focus on agriculture. But now, if we were to ask ourselves in Liberia, which one of the counties can we depend on to say, okay, if you go in this county, you will have sufficient you will see sufficient rice production.
Now let's look at Lofa. Lofa has been claimed as the breadbasket of Liberia, where the soil is good, where people produce rice, from these inferior township and stuff like that. But we actually have a resort, a very resource. So let's say for instance, if we just want to, let's say, do it this way, we say each county is responsible to produce certain kinds of food,
Mm-hmm.
for the country. So we say Lofa produce rice. Only rice can produce. Then we say Bon County. What Bon can produce? That Bon produce our oil. Let Nima produce our commons, our vegetables,
Grandmaster rubber.
Grandmaster produce our rubbers, Grandmaster produce our pepper, our fufu, our cassava, like that. So every countries have their own tax in terms of productivities
Food
on what
productivity,
food productivity on what we can consume, right? In terms of food products. So now we understand that in the course of the year, we'll be running to Lofa for rest, right? So Lofa is known for rest, they produce more rest, right? We'll be running to Lofa for rest. We'll be running to Bone for oil. We'll be running to Grand Basil for cassava, edibles, these things, right? Huh? So everybody have that own tax. Say, okay, you provide a huge portion of rest on the Liberian market. This country is going to produce a huge tax of cassava on the Liberian market. So we'll get more, to consume and even export as well.
Yeah, so folks, we want to let it be 9